Hello, Jaime back from Inky and Scrappy with my Little Genius Stamp Set Series card 7 gel shakers, I guess. Kind of like a liquid squishy. These used to be big way back in the day. I don't know. I don't have hair gel for them because that's what you used to use, was like the LA Looks hair gel, which would, suffice to make that gel. So I ended up pulling in some After Sun Care, which is like clear aloe vera gel. And then I brought in some hand sanitizer as well, just to try. I can't say that I've tried either before, so I figured I'd give them a go. I still think the gel would probably be the way to go, so go to the Dollar Tree and find some cheap clear hair gel, like the cheapest stuff you can find, and it would work. I did add some Distress Mica spray stains to, I think this one was the aloe vera style gel. And then for my other one, which is just going to stay clear, is just my hand sanitizer. I liked the hand sanitizer. It actually bubbled up more. Like a couple of days later, it had more bubbles in it than it does in the video. I don't understand it, but that's what happened. So I did like the colored gel, but I like how I colored behind these, and I would definitely go with the clear route again because I loved how that looks. So if it's something you want to try, go for it. I did seal both of my bags. So these were just little mini Ziploc bags. I did seal both of them with, I think I sealed both of them probably with my Food Saver Bag Saver sealer, so it's a heavier line of seal. I did use a handheld one that you can pick up on Amazon that's super cheap later on in the video, and that one worked okay. I don't know if I would trust it as much as I do the heavier seal of that Food Saver bag, but you can definitely just use the Ziploc and maybe put score tape on the dry side of the seal, just to give you an extra, I guess, seal in there if it's something you worry about. I worry about things leaking, so of course I'm extra. I did pull out my Tim Holtz. These ones were like, there's the shelf that comes with it, and then of course the potion bottles. So I want to say it's like Apothecary maybe, or something like that. It's an older die set. There's a few different Apothecary / science type dies out there. I really needed the shape. I didn't really need a stamp, but I know there's some stamp sets that have similar dies in them that would probably work. I liked the smaller bottles on this one. That definitely looked more potion-y than, shall we say, flask like. There wasn't going to be any alcohol in them. I didn't need a flask. I did bring in the Trinity stamps. I think this one is like the color wheel or color. They're like not meant for this, but I liked the pattern and I liked the fact that it was big and chunky. And so I'm really just pulling it in for my background. And I kind of wanted it to kind of have that, I don't want to say subway tile, but that's kind of what I was going for, right? It was just like the big tile blocks on the wall, kind of reminiscent of maybe old school, science labs. I guess our school was fairly new, so did we have bricks? We had some walls that were brick, and so they would look like this because they were the big chunky bricks. Of course, they painted over them in like an off-white ivory color to try to hide all of our fingerprints because we were unruly children, I'm sure. Anyways, so I kind of did my background, and then of course I'm going to figure out where I need my cutouts for height-wise. You wouldn't have to do it this way, but I don't know how else to make, the squishy thing used to be like what you would do with like an aquarium or like a fish bowl or something like that. So it's kind of the same thing, but I thought it would just be fun to add. I haven't done one in ages, right? So I thought it would be fun to add it this way. So I ran that through the die cut machine, and basically it's giving you your shaker windows, right? So it's basically the same thing as a shaker. That's why I said kind of like a gel shaker, but it's not really a shaker. I brought in, you know, my handy dandy background piece here. And then, of course, on my card base. So for my card base, I just kind of did some rough sketches about where my bottles were going to, you know, where they were going to lie. And I wasn't too worried about it. I did decide that I needed the purple. And I thought I could do all 3 of them in the purple if I really, really wanted to. I could have done them all in purple. I decided, though, that I liked the option to not go all purple and to kind of bring in some of the other colors to the card. So I went this way. So I'm just kind of trying to squish down what I think I'm actually going to need real estate wise for my background piece. I decided, I mean, I probably could have done all the clear if I would have position them a teeny tiny bit closer. I probably could have done the clear over the whole background and not had to fuss with it, but of course this is me, so I fussed with it. I did bring in a piece of Xpress cardstock to draw on or to color on because I didn't want it to bleed through my card base. So did I do a lot of extra work that I probably didn't have to do? Yes. Is this usually how it goes for me? Most definitely, because you know. Would you expect anything else? I hope not if you've been here for a while. This is just how I create. So I did pull in my color card that I created for Beaker and Bunsen and kind of pulled that one out because I colored these images, you know, probably a few weeks before I actually made this card. And so now I'm just trying to line up again where I did, you know, you already saw that, but I'm putting it on the other little piece of paper that I'm going to glue on top of the other one. So I pulled in 2 colors from the card. I do try to make it like visual triangles when I look at colors, if that's something that you struggle with, like when I'm adding in colors. And you'll see how I pull in some more purple on the already colored image. I wish I would have added some of the purples to the original cards, but I was going with 100% what the TV series, like the newer one, kind of had for colors, or I pulled them directly from Bunsen and Beaker, and so therefore that's what you got. But so I basically just colored my image like I wanted it on the background piece, not worrying about having a line, but just making sure that it was going to cover the whole area that needed to be covered once it was on my background. And so I'm going to do the same with the teal color here, just doing a gradient. So I started with a darker on the bottom and then moved up to lighter. I think I only did about 2 colors with, well, I did 3 colors on some, 2 colors on some of the others, but starting, and this one I only did 1. So you don't need to have, well, okay, so the purple is going to be totally covered. You're really not going to see the purple at all. If I could do it over again, I maybe would have stopped short of the top so it was clear, but I mean, truthfully, your gel is going to be the whole thing, right? So I wanted to make sure that it was fully covered. So now I will just glue that onto my already done triangle that is on my base. So I know everything is going to line up at this point, and I'm just going to glue this one down. And by gluing half and then the other half, I know it's exactly where it needs to be. I didn't move it. Granted, I think it stayed inside that little rectangle that I drew anyways, but you know, better safe than sorry. Now to adhere these, because they're just a plastic bag and I just need them to stay in one spot, I don't need them to move around, I just put some double-sided clear score tape on top of them. You know, you're not going to see this, you're not going to touch the score tape because it's obviously going to be on the background. So here's where I kind of measure with my fingers how much I need. Use my fingers as a squeegee, and then of course I'm going to bring in, I think I did run it to my actual vacuum sealer, but I did want to show you that you can pick up a cheap one from Amazon. My battery was probably going dead on that one, but it works okay. So if it's something you wanted to try and you didn't have a big vacuum sealer, I think the little thing is like $5 or something, so it wasn't horrible, but it's something you could try if you want to try this. But otherwise, doing that score tape on the seal would probably work well, as long as, you know, you're using the whole sheet, unlike me and trying to make it small or cutting it, you know, there's that. So on the other one, because it was a little bit longer than I needed it to be, I kind of just squeezed all of my liquid up to the top, or my gel up to the top. And then I'm just going to use some double-sided foam tape here and kind of help it, just like a shaker card, kind of help it to stay up there by putting some of that adhesive on there and just kind of fold it up. It should hold it. I've played with this card so many times, it's not even funny. Is it ever going to get mailed out? I don't know, because I've been enjoying squishing it. I really need to do one of these with like some mermaids or something. Sea otters would be fun, or otters would be fun. Anyways, okay, now I have to do an otter card because that sounds amazing. So anyways, I added my top on top, and then of course squished and played and, you know, did all of the things. Now I'm just going to add my shelf. So this way it was really easy to just add the shelf because, you know, my die cut shapes are there. So just adding the shelf on top, or right towards where they are on the level on the bottom. And if you were off just a teeny tiny bit with your die cuts, nobody's going to know because you're covering it up with a die cut shelf. I know there's some other stamp sets out there that have die cut shelves in them that would work for this, but even just a simple brown piece of paper strip cut there to make it look like a floating shelf would work just fine. So I'm adding my shelf, and then all that's really left is to add in my characters on the bottom, which is already colored and cut out. So I did decide to pop this up on some foam tape. So this one is a little bit on the thick side because of course I added some foam tape to that base layer, so it gives my gel shaker, quote unquote, part a little bit of room. And then of course this one just pops it up so it looks like the shelf is further back than the people. Of course, I think I used like some super thin, like maybe 1mm foam tape that I picked up from Scrapbookdotcom. So it was fairly thin. It didn't add a whole lot. I don't remember what I used on the background piece, but it might have only been that 1mm foam tape as well. So it really didn't add too much bulk to it, if that makes sense. And then of course I'm going to come in with my Glossy Accents and Glossy Accent all the bottles and glasses, eyeballs on Beaker, because I just think he looks amazing with glossy accented eyes. It's my thing. I should really try it with just thick embossing powder, but the thick embossing powder usually gets away from me. But I would think fine embossing powder would probably work okay too. It probably would give a thin layer. So if you're where it's humid and you struggle, that would be something to try possibly. It's just regular, clear, thin, like the fine embossing powder. It's not going to get as thick, and it should, you know, you don't have to worry about dry time. And then of course, yes, I may have done all of the glass tubes and bottles. I just love the look of Glossy Accents on top of glass things. It's how I roll. So as you see, that purple is definitely, wow, kind of doesn't fit at the moment, does it? It's just like one big purple blob up there. And the rest of the card has the greens and the oranges. And so I did also bring in some Ohuhu glitter markers and added some glitter to the flame underneath the beaker because, you know, it's got a glitter and glow. And so I loved the card, but I thought it needed some purple. So I'm bringing in Susan, or Inked Susan from Ink Road Stamps. I need to find some more science sayings. I know MFT had one out there forever ago. So I've been looking in the buy sell trade groups, but I haven't found one. I have one from Lawn Fawn, but it doesn't really have scientific sayings on it, which would be so fun to go with this stamp set. Yeah. So scientific conclusion, you are a cutie patootie. And so I did the sentiment, of course, in purple to kind of help tie in the purple beaker that is sitting on the shelf. Maybe that was a science experiment gone wrong. Could be. I mean, it's a possibility. I brought in a banner style die. Of course, I just cheated it on one end and cut it short that way. And then, so here was me going, okay, I have purple, purple, and I need purple down in that corner. You saw me point my finger there. That was kind of my triangle, right? So I kind of do that theory of threes. So the theories of three on the orange was kind of the orange beaker's hair, and then of course the fire is kind of your three there, and then of course the other one that's in the middle is the beaker over the Bunsen, the bigger beaker that's next to beaker, and then of course the one on top. So that's my triangle there. So my third triangle of course is the purple, and so I have my sentiment, my purple beaker, and I found some purple, I think they're called Trinity Stamps has them. They're like coalesce confetti. Like they don't have, or is it sequenced? Like they're just like flat. I think they're called flat sequences. I think that's what they're called. But I love them because they don't have the little hole in them. The little hole just, I like them, but then I have to put like glitter on top of the little hole because it bugs me, because that's where the thread is supposed to go. Yeah. You know. Okay. All right. That's where my mind goes. So there are my, and then of course I did 3 of them, so it makes another little triangle. I might be obsessed. Okay. So there is my final card in this series, at least my final one for now. I'm sure I'll pull up this set again. I did not put anything on the inside yet. I'm working on it. Anyways, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Keep getting inky. Bye.